Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, my name's Rich McDonald, and I played David Mason in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Everything Geek podcast. Thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Leif Gaffert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldovar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Ruari Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have actor Blair Redford. He stars as John Proudstar, aka Thunderbird in The Gifted, and is also known for playing Ethan Whitehorse in The Line Games, Simon in Satisfaction, Tyler Ty Mendoza in Switched at Birth, Scott Grainger in The Young and the Restless, Miguel Lopez-Fitzgerald in Passions, Oscar in 90210, and Army Fighter Pilot 1 in The Day They Have Stood Still. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So getting right into my questions for you, Blair, can you tell us how you got into acting?
Yeah, I was a little late in the game, I'd say. I was on my way to try and start a tennis career in high school. I was about 17 years old, and it was senior year in high school, and I actually ended up doing a school play and just kind of fell in love with doing the play, and was introduced to live theater, so I did that for a bit, and then, just pretty quickly dropped the athletic pursuit and kind of worked out a plan to move to LA. So after high school, it took me about a year to get out there, and that was just kind of how it all started. Moved to LA, and then while I was there, kind of realized how much I didn't know, so figured out how to actually act and what the business was all about once I was on the ground out there, and the rest is, all the jobs you just said. That's been the last 10 years.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Were you a fan of the XMen comics before you were cast in The Gifted?
I was a huge fan. I was completely consumed by X-Men growing up. I got a collection of probably half a dozen boxes with 100, 200 comics apiece, and 30, 40% of them are either X-Men or X-Men offshoot edition of the comics. And even as about 11 or 12, I think it was always our house where we'd have all the kids over Saturday morning to watch the X-Men animated series. So yeah, there was a huge part of my childhood, and has turned this working on this series into a hell of a fun job for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to ask, of all of the X-Men comics you have, because you said there were dozens of them, which one is your favorite if you had to pick one?
Man, it'd be hard to pick. It'd be hard to pick one edition. You mean like one actual story from the comics?
Yes, sir.
One that really stands out. I can't quote the number, but it was an issue where Magneto pulled all the adamantium metal from Wolverine's body, and I just remember it being such a horrific thing to see, as it was almost like liquid metal springing through different holes in his skin, and he looked like he was in a heck of a lot of anguish, and his fellow X-Men teammates were watching in horror as they saw their friend be tortured and possibly killed. So I remember that had a strong impact on me.
Yeah, definitely. As Thunderbird as a character from the comics, are you given any freedom with how you play him on the show, or do you always have to follow what the crew want?
No, it's been a really nice collaboration. I mean, obviously our writers and our creator Matt Nix, they're real geniuses when it comes to this stuff and crafting these stories. So I'm all ears listening to them, but they've been very responsive from the early days of creating the character, letting me do stuff that kind of springs into my own mind that I share with them. One of the biggest things that stands out that I've shared with people before is Thunderbird's tracking stance. That wasn't really written into anything that existed before I came along. I just started playing around with that when I was auditioning for the role, and I was meeting producers at Fox and the people at Marvel, and they would have me read scenes from the pilot script. I sort of brought that into the room with me and played around with it. So that's something that I think they latched onto, and obviously it's become a huge part of Thunderbird's character.
That's very cool. How did you react when you read the script for the latest episode, Outfox, and found out that Lauren, Andy, Clarice, and Sonia would all be captured by Sentinel services at the end of the episode?
Oh man, back when I read it, I was pretty excited about it. I mean, our show is I found it to be a very fast-paced series each week. You know, the episode is kind of a high-octane, bad guys chasing good guys type series. So, I thought it fell right in line. We needed to up the ante. And in episode 4, we had rescued Polaris and Reed Strucker when they were in captivity. So, I like it when the good guys have a mission planned out and it looks like everything's going to go well, and obviously, circumstances prevent it from being a success. So when I read that episode and saw that, this wasn't going to work out, the good guys weren't going to get what they wanted, and not only that, 4 of our main characters were going to get taken from us, I thought it was a pretty strong move on the writer's part, and that leads to some great storylines down the road from there, because when your heroes are that beaten down and have their backs up against the wall, I think that can lead to some exciting stuff for your heroes.
Definitely. So what do you think fans of the show should be looking forward to in the full finale episode, Exploited, and future episodes of the show?
I think we have a hell of a finale, fall finale coming up for them. The one that comes on tomorrow night, it's got a lot of big reveals in it. It's got some introductory new character stuff that you find out about Esme, and sort of just a whole nother side of the mutant world and their existence and how they operate. I can't give away too many specifics, but it does tie into the fact that, like, at least Thunderbird, from my character's point of view, he's usually very clinical and thought out. But all of a sudden he's in this position where, the 2 people he probably cares about most in the world, Dreamer and Blink, they've been captured. So I think it's an episode where everybody knows they're on the clock. They know if time is of the essence, and they have to do something to get their loved ones back. So it's just, I think it's a fun, fast-paced episode, and it's going to be good to watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching it. So, out of the episodes that have aired of The Gifted so far, which has been your favorite scene to shoot on this show?
Oh man, that's really tough. We just did a scene last night that had, I think, it had every series regular character and a bunch of guest stars. I can tell you that was not my favorite scene. Anytime you put all of us in a room together, it's just madness. Like, we're way too close of a family now, where you try to shoot 8 or more of us in one scene, and it's going to take about 10 hours. So I know I'm rabbit trailing there, but that's something that's something that takes a while. But what's my favorite one? All my favorite stuff usually comes down to stunts, because I love doing my own stunts, and this role has been like my biggest opportunity to do a lot of action stuff. So, there was a scene in episode 4 where I got to run through a wall. That was pretty incredible. That was a lot of fun. A lot of people have wondered, and they've been curious for, like, I've heard fans talking about Thunderbird's level of impenetrability with, like, as far as, bullets or knives go. And I think we kind of, we haven't overused that too much, but in the finale, in episode 13, fans will definitely see just how tough Thunderbird's skin is. And they do it in a really fun way. So, I think I can't give away the scene, but you'll see it in the finale. It's a good one. I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really cool. And I have to ask as well, how many takes did you have to go through for the, running through the wall scene?
We got really one good take at it because our practical effects team, I think, had a reset time of, I don't know, maybe a couple hours if we had to do it again and put up another wall. So it's something we needed to get pretty quick. And, they don't often double me, but they did have my stunt double come in and do part of that. And he's a great guy, a close friend of mine. So we kind of shared in that stunt, but it was really just one good take. Yeah.
That's very nice. Which would you say has been the most challenging role in your career so far, and why? There's been some different ones. I think when I did the show 90210, that was a pretty big challenge for me because I had to use a British accent for that character, and that was one of the early roles in my career. And the people over at the network they weren't familiar with me, so they didn't know I was American when I auditioned for it because I was using an English accent. I went up against English guys for the role. I think I was the only American they were seeing, even though they didn't know I was American. So that was challenging throughout the whole season. I had to maintain the accents. And then I don't know, like, this one's a big one too. I've never worked this many hours. It's just a monster of a show. Again, with the stunt training and just how active and the characters are and the battle sequences, and then like my workout regimen that I have to maintain with Thunderbird offset. It's like I'll shoot for 15 hours and then I still have to go meet with a trainer and keep up my diet and stuff. So this is a really fun show to be on, but it has been a heck of a lot of work for me. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. My final question for you, Blair, aside from The Gifted, do you have any other upcoming acting roles or any other projects that you would like to talk about?
I'll have a better answer for that next time we talk, hopefully. I've been so immersed with this job, they haven't given us time to hunt down much else, but I am headed back to LA today, and I got some good meetings coming up, so there's some potential things that I don't want to jinx just yet, but we'll see how they turn out. I'm honestly looking forward to a couple of weeks where I can just sit in my house and have a cup of coffee and not think about what time I got to be on set. Even though I've had a really fun run on The Gifted, but last night was our final day of shooting for the first season, so I'm looking forward to a little rest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone needs a good break every once in a while, so...
Very true, very true.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy your break, and I wish you the best of luck with, looking for the next acting job as well. That's all of my...
Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. That's all of my questions for you today, Blair. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the show.
Great, I appreciate it. Anytime, thank you.
The Gifted fall finale episode Exploited will air on Monday, December 11th at 9/8 Central on Fox. The 2-hour season finale will air on January 15th, 2018. Time to wrap up today's show. Make sure to check out our podcast links, check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/officialeverythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/septusdestroyers. Check out Blair Redford on Twitter, twitter.com/Blair_Redford, and check out channel 1138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
Well, I'm personally, Scarecrow always was one of my favorite characters. But again, Gotham is the premise for Gotham is about a city that molds ordinary people or ordinary people to becoming extraordinary people, and
it's kind of the truth. The way Matt Nick set it up, and Lawrence Hugh O'Donnell, when they were developing it, they wanted it to appeal to a broad audience. So